Hey guys, welcome back. You guys have a lot of questions about, how do you get your own commands working, and quite frankly, I don't feel like I was quite clear, so we'll go over this again. I'll try to get more into depth on how you can really start building your own bot with your own commands, doing your own thing. And I'll try to get you guys set up for my next video where I show you, how we're going to put in Lava Player and get you guys being able to get music onto your Discord channel so that anybody can throw music in there and play it, or you can make it so that only certain users can play it, but that'll be up to you. We'll get you to a point where you can customize pretty much anything that you want to and get you on your way. So right here, if you remember, if you haven't watched last video, I suggest you watch that because that's right where we're picking up. I haven't changed anything, we're right where we left off. You can see we just got it set up to respond to a user saying hello, and that's where we left off. You guys get it set up, it runs, it gets online, but right now all I have it doing is saying hello, and it mentions the user that said that. So we're going to go down here a little bit further. We're going to say, okay, if our message content, as we said before, we looked at the content. Instead of saying equals, we're going to look at the first char. I'm looking at whether the user is sort of putting an exclamation point. If you're familiar with like commands, usually they start with like a slash or an exclamation point. I'm going to be using an exclamation point. So we're going to look at the char at 0. And we're going to be saying, hey, is that equal to that exclamation point? So right here, it will come into this block if it sees that that first char is an exclamation point. That's good. So what's our first command? I'm just going to make a repeat of this command, except I'm going to be using an exclamation point, just to show you guys that this is sort of how we're going to get started, show you guys something you're familiar with. So first we're going to break this up into arguments. Alright, we'll break it up into str args. We're going to say, okay, we're going to get the message content, obj message.get content. We're going to chop off that first little, we're going to chop up that first exclamation point. And then we're going to say, hey, give me the rest in an array. Okay. So for example, if we have a dice command, which we'll get to soon, we'll say, hey, roll, or sorry, exclamation point roll. This will take this and put it in a it will put it in a 1 deep array. If we have something that looks like roll 100-sided die, this will be our first index, index 0, and this will be our second, index 1. We'll get started with that soon. So like I said before, we're going to look at the hello command, as we'll refer to it. So we're going to take a look at that first index, say, hey, is that equal to hello? And we'll respond the same way we did earlier. And we'll get rid of this. Alright. Make sure you comment your code. Stay in good coding practices. And we'll try this out. You can see here that this now works with this command, using the exclamation point instead of just saying hello. Alright. So let's get to our dice roll. We're going to use the same structure. And we'll change this hello to roll. Don't worry about the 100 yet. We'll get to that in a second. We're going to say here, okay, so you can set the sides of your dies here by default. We're going to set it to 6. You roll a 6-sided die usually. And we'll say, hey, we're going to check if they pass an argument. We're going to say, is str's length greater than 1? Because if it's greater than 1, then they passed more than one argument. There's more than the roll. There might be a number there. Hopefully it's a number. We don't really want anything else. So we're going to say, if it's greater than 1, good. We will change insides equal to an integer conversion. And we'll get the value of that side. strargs. And it should be at the second position or index 1. Now we want to roll our die. We're going to copy this, because we know this sends a message. And instead of saying hello, we're going to say our mentioned user, add a little flavor text, rolls a we want to roll a whole number, obviously. And we're going to do a little bit of math here. We're going to do a math.random. If you know anything about math.random, it generates a double value from 0 to 1. So it might be like 0.5 or 0.76. We're going to multiply it by our insides. And we'll add 1 to it. And this is done. This will roll a dice for us. So if we stop this old one, we'll start up this one. We can go here, and we can roll a dice. And if I don't want to roll a d6, say I want to roll a 100, d100, I can roll a d100. You can put anything in there you like, as long as it's an integer. If it's not an integer, you might have some problems. But that's for you to decide and customize. So anything other than the roll command, we will do a music play command, and along with, like, you know, sort of a radio. Obviously, you know, you want to put more music in, maybe delete some music, clear out the playlist, pause, play, stuff like that. You'll have all that, but that's a little bit more complex, and we'll get to that in the next episode. And for our last command, we're just going to take a look at whether or not the password is a palindrome. It'll tell us yes or no. It's just a little bit of a programming exercise, but it's something that you can put in your bot as well. So we're going to follow our same procedure, equals, we'll call this command pal. And for this one, we're just going to get that second string right away. I'm going to say string strpal is equal to second argument. And then we'll go through a loop, a for loop preferably. That will be if you don't already know how to code a palindrome detector sort of thing, I will have other videos up soon. I encourage you play around with the example I'll provide you here. And we'll say is if strpal.charat I is equal to strpal.charat the length minus I, or minus 1 minus I, we're actually going to set this to not equal. put Boolean out here. And if this is ever not equal, we'll say Boolean pal is false. And then when we're done our loop, we're going to use this again. We're going to say strpal is a palindrome. And we'll add our boolean. So we'll save this, stop the other one from running. We'll pull this up again. And we'll say, hey, how about kayak? That's a palindrome. How about cheese? Cheese is not a palindrome. So you guys can see this works. You can see how you can pretty much make whatever you want with this. You just sort of have to take the initiative, play around with it a little bit. Again, make sure you comment your code. I'll put the paste bin in the description. There's no other links you're going to need. Just try to, play around with this a little bit more. If the reason you're not really getting this is because you're not so great, you're new at programming, I suggest you take a look at other videos and really try to practice and play around with it. Get your own thing going. And my next video should be on Lava Player and getting this bot turned into a music player for your server.